Who would you fight next if you could choose?
Whatever fight makes the most sense, obviously.
What makes the most
Um,
sense to you? What gets you most
I don't know.
excited?
Um, obviously, the Lomachenko fight. That's a huge fight. Um, but all of them gets me excited. The Gervonta Davis, Lomachenko, those two pretty much are top on the list because they're just that makes the most sense. All the other guys I really don't really rate like that.
You know, you got to give a big shout out to Devin Haney for giving a man an opportunity who denied him an opportunity. Obviously, Devin Haney is on his cool boy Steph stuff. You know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave the link in the description below. You go check that video out too. But yeah, Devin Haney, shouts out to him for wanting to fight Vasily Lomachenko after Vasily Lomachenko denied him a shot at being seen and called and considered the legitimate champion once he gained the mandatory position to be able to challenge for the WBC lightweight championship belt. Vasily Lomachenko chose to activate the franchise belt and give up his belt to Devin Haney. Also, you got to give another shout out to Devin Haney for going out here and cleaning up Lomachenko's mess. Him and Kambosos, even though Kambosos didn't want to take the fight in the first place, so which that doubles right back on Devin Haney, you know, and that's basically because the boxing world allowed Vasily Lomachenko to duck Devin Haney. There's no way getting around it. No champion should ever relinquish any belt to another champion under no circumstances, especially when that champion's main goal since the moment they got into boxing, and they made very clear, was to become undisputed. There was no possible way that Vasily Lomachenko could have been undisputed. But the interesting thing is if you look how people denied Teofimo Lopez the claim of undisputed. Imagine if Vasily Lomachenko won that fight. How many people would be willing to call Vasily Lomachenko undisputed without fighting Devin Haney? And just like Kambosos, they would be against fighting Devin Haney, just like they was against Kambosos. And this is the thing, Kambosos didn't even have any fans. So what made them flock to Kambosos so hard? You know, I mean, that's not hard to figure out. We already know what time it is when it comes to that. But yeah, you got to give props to Devin Haney for that, because I would make Vasily Lomachenko go through some hoops just like I had to go through some hoops, and just like I had to go out here and clean up the mess that you made, because the boxing world seemingly allowed Vasily Lomachenko to just flat out duck. There's no way around it. Just look at who's handed the franchise champion, and just look when the franchise champion belt is activated, what kind of fighters that is activated against, and it's not hard to figure it out. You know, just like, you know, Teofimo Lopez, he couldn't go in there and get a straight shot at Vasily Lomachenko. He had to go fight Coleman. He had to go do some things, you know. And when it comes to the whole situation, for Devin Haney to still want to give him an opportunity like that, you got to praise Devin Haney once again. You know, he's going out here acting how a champion should act. There's no ducking, there's no nothing, and that's a fight that he doesn't have to take. You know, but if he's down for that fight and that's the fight he wants, guess what? I actually want to see that fight now. I'm actually interested in that fight. But if he did not want to fight Vasily Lomachenko, I wouldn't be against that either. I would be totally for that, because I would totally understand. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, the olive branch wouldn't be extended his way. And we all know that, but that's the difference, you know. And these champions, especially these American champions, you know, not only are you held to a different standard, you have to understand that they just operate on a different wavelength. You know, they have to be the best. You know, they know they have to be 120%, 110% just to get half the credit. They know that. But the fact that he went through all that and he done it without complaints and he did it with class, you got to give Devin Haney his props, because I wouldn't do that. Because I'm well aware of what they tried to use Vasily Lomachenko for and what they tried to engineer him to be. Not to take away not one bit from Vasily Lomachenko's talent or his skill, because Vasily Lomachenko is a good fighter. But is he the fighter that they try to prop him up to be? No. And speaking of that, I believe they still got Vasily Lomachenko on a pound-for-pound list higher than Devin Haney. And Devin Haney is the undisputed champion. That just goes back to the ESPN erasing Vasily Lomachenko's loss. You should know what this is all about. You should know what this is all about at the end of the day. That's why I keep advising people to go watch the movie The Great White Hype, because it has the biggest insight on boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's the biggest running joke. The movie's horrible, but the information in the movie just shows you how boxing really works and how people really think. That's why, to me, it's one of the greatest boxing movies ever made, while being one of the worst. just being honest with you. But when it comes to that, I mean, you really got to give Devin Haney some credit for that, man. Because I'm be honest with you, I wouldn't do it, and it has nothing to do whether I think I can beat you or not. You know what I'm saying? I can totally think I can beat you, and I'm still not gonna give you that shot. Just simply what you put me through, and how people tried to help push you in that position, and the pound for pound list, I believe the ESPN pound for pound list, still goes to show you the disrespect and the favoritism that goes on in boxing. Even though pound for pound list, I mean, it's made up, it's fictional. Like they purposely won't give the pound for pound list a definitive criteria, because then they would have to stick to that. And they don't want to have to stick to it. They want to be able to pick and choose and move around as they please. This is why the pound for pound list does not have a definitive criteria. And it never will, because they always want to reserve the options to do that, to put heavyweights on the list and all that other stuff. So, that's just what it is at the end of the day. But if Devin Haney's looking for that fight, then I'm looking forward to that fight. And once again, more props to Devin Haney. And he's doing all this stuff at a very young age. And that should be a good, exciting fight. People should want to get up for that. Now, the only thing is, if Vasily Lomachenko ducked him as a mandatory, it's funny. Will he duck him as the undisputed champion when he holds everything that Vasily Lomachenko was trying to achieve and strive for in boxing? It'll be funny if that fight doesn't get made, especially after Devin Haney has made it clear that he does want that fight. Hats off to him, man. That's all I got for now. Like, comment, subscribe. Bruce Vane, I'm out.